It's August 16th, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have a blimp that returned empty, a record-breaking fall from the edge of space, and a race across the Pacific that turned deadly. Let's begin. On August 16th, 1942, a United States Navy blimp lifted off from Treasure Island carrying 2 men. 5 hours later, it returned without them. Lieutenant Ernest Cody and Ensign Charles Adams were aboard the L-8 searching the California coastline for enemy submarines. At 7:50 in the morning, they radioed that they had spotted a suspicious oil slick and were moving closer to investigate. Then, the radio went silent. Hours later, the blimp reappeared over the coast, sagging and drifting without direction. It briefly touched down on a beach, rose into the air again, scraped across rooftops, tore through power lines, and collapsed on a street in Daly City. Rescuers rushed towards the wreckage, but the gondola was empty. Its door was open, the radio still worked, and the door was still open. Both parachutes remained untouched inside, and there was no sign of violence, fire, or any struggle. Search crews combed the ocean for days, but nothing was ever found. Some believe the men accidentally fell into the sea, but investigators could never explain why neither used the working radio. The blimp eventually returned to service, and its 2 pilots never returned at all. On August 16, 1960, U.S. Air Force Captain Joseph Kittinger began rising towards the edge of space in an open balloon gondola. Then, at 43,000 feet, something went wrong. The pressure seal in his right glove failed. As the air around him thinned towards a near vacuum, his hand swelling painfully in the suit. Kittinger knew that if he reported the malfunction, Mission Control would order him back down, so he said nothing. The balloon continued to climb until he reached more than 19 miles above the New Mexico desert. Then Kittinger stepped into the emptiness. He fell for 4 minutes and 36 seconds, accelerating to approximately 614 miles per hour. A small stabilizing parachute prevented his body from entering a deadly spin, and finally his main parachute opened and the desert slowly rose beneath him. He landed safely 13 minutes after leaving the gondola. As the atmospheric pressure returned, his swollen hand gradually returned to normal, and his record stood for 52 years. It was only after reaching the ground that the full danger of his silence was revealed. On August 16, 1927, 8 airplanes lined up in Oakland for a race across 2,400 miles of open ocean, but sadly, only 2 would reach Hawaii. Pineapple magnate James Dole had offered $25,000 to the winner, but the aircrafts were overloaded with fuel, navigation equipment was primitive, and beyond California waited the vast Pacific. Trouble began almost immediately. 2 planes crashed during takeoff, others turned back with overheating engines and mechanical failure. Eventually, 4 aircraft disappeared beyond the coastline and continued on. After 26 hours and 17 minutes, the Woolaroc emerged from the sky and landed safely. The Aloha arrived approximately 2 hours later, but the Golden Eagle and the Miss Doreen never appeared. More than 50 ships and numerous aircrafts and 3 submarines searched the ocean. Days later, the Dallas Spirit took off to help find them. Its crew radioed that they were falling into a tailspin, and they also vanished. No confirmed wreckage or remains were ever recovered. 10 people died before, during, and after the devastating competition. The race did produce 2 winners, but the Pacific kept everything else. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next Eerie dose is just a day away.